Hi. I learned today, more strongly than ever, that I'm not going to silence my voice. I'm not going to stop sharing with people what I know, sharing my experience, sharing something that might possibly help somebody, especially when it comes to toxins, detoxification, and other health issues. Especially when this kind of information is not shared within medical circles, especially when you go to the dentist or you go to the doctor and they recommend extremely toxic things that they're in support of, that they get profits from, that they don't know any better about. So one of the main problems here is that you can't really come to a dentist or a doctor and tell them that there is a problem if it triggers them, if it basically challenges their worldview. And that's not an issue. But I'm not going to silence my voice. I'm not going to stop speaking out about these things. So let's just, call these things out. Let's start with metal fillings. No, not okay. Mercury, copper, toxicity, all kinds of problems related to inflammation in the mouth. Teeth are organs. When you basically excavate one or do any kind of random dental work in your mouth, it's actually linked to energy meridians that link to other organs within your body. Things are interconnected in the body. So when you deal with one thing, you don't not touch everything else. Everything's interconnected. So we have that kind of problem. There's also issues with root canals. And this is something that I had to literally go to the dentist and ask him to pull out 2 root canals with a crown on top of them. That's been creating havoc in my life for the last 4 years, alongside the copper implant, which is another ridiculous concept that medical science apparently thinks is safe, completely safe to put into women's bodies. Toxicity, inflammation, pain, chronic degeneration, and so I'm telling this dentist that I would like these teeth out. Now I know that I should go to a holistic practitioner and see what they can do for me in that circumstance and put something healthier. But I basically got told to go to the psych ward. I got told to go to the psych ward because I was putting root canals on blast. So I'm not going to silence my voice. I'm not going to be quiet. I'm going to share my experience with people. I'm going to tell them about my copper IUD story. Oh my God, it's a uterine device. How shameful. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go up on this pedestal and I'm going to talk about things. I'm going to say, this is what happened to me. This is how I dealt with it. And the only way that I can help people is if I experience it on myself. So another thing that came up is I have no clue what autoimmune disease is, but particularly with people that are more sensitive, what happens is your immune system goes into overdrive and over time begins to, you begin to get more and more extreme immune reactions. So things like rashes and chronic fatigue. Basically, what is an autoimmune disorder? There's so many different ones. It's when the body begins to attack its own tissue. So we have arthritis, in the joints. You have IBS or Crohn's or anything related to the digestive system. We're stop digesting properly. You have Alzheimer's and dementia. This is when the brain tissue begins to degenerate. You have multiple sclerosis, where the myelin gets affected. It's all interconnected. And in order to heal these things, you have to look at multiple factors. Number 1 is elimination of inflammatory and toxic sources. So there's various toxins within the environment or in the body, like implants, that need to be removed or dealt with. There's inflammation because of chronic infections that build up in the body that are not addressed because the body's constantly in survival mode rather than bringing up these problems to heal them. So these are various things that can help, like heavy metal detoxes, parasite detoxes, elimination diets, and then of course you go into the energy arena in which you try to heal these different blockages and remove these things from the aura. But it's all interconnected, and when a person gets into the forefront of healing and says, I'm going to take control over my own body, I'm going to be responsible for it, I'm going to look into this and I'm going to heal myself, everyone freaks the fuck out. They're like, oh no, oh my God, you're making a grave mistake. This goes against the things that we've been programmed with for thousands of years. Yeah, it does. It does, and it's going to trigger a lot of people. It's going to be really scary possibly to even go through because you're going through grounds that are not as followed. But I'm here to tell you, you can heal from autoimmune disease. You can heal from toxicity in the environment. There's so many ways that a person can get their energy back, fix their mood again. Basically, all the problems that we've been told are just because, we're faulty and we were born in sin. Would you just have to basically live with acne for the rest of your life because people are not taking the time to look into the holistic aspect of it, of okay, what are you eating? What are you surrounded by? Maybe you are allergic to something. I had problems over time. There was this one person I would see every single time they'd see me, they'd be like, yeah, you need to take antibiotics for your skin. And it's no, I'm going to continue to trust myself. I'm going to figure it out. I pull out this crazy copper coil thing, and ooh, what do you know? From that point onwards, like, certain digestive problems start to get better. The acne starts to go away. Everything is connected, and I'm no longer interested in listening to these ridiculous age-old Medici medical, cartel stuff that's trying to sell you drugs and basically telling you that you have to cut out parts of your body in order to heal. I mean, let's be realistic here. Things like inflammation and issues in different parts of the body are actually all connected. So you can't like just cut your toe off and be like, okay, well, now the problem's here, the gout's gone, or like the fungus on my toe's gone. It's indicative of something. It's symptomology. And I've trusted myself up until this point to know that something is up. I know that something has been going on. And it was only until I started doing EFT. I've done a couple of videos on this before, but I did EFT surrounding the topic of autoimmune illness because I was getting really tired. I was like, okay, I'm broken. I've done something wrong. Like, even though I do all these anti-inflammatory diets and I try to heal myself and I purge my emotions, look at that, not getting better. And it told me two things. It brought up the answer. What I was asking for was any clues around the autoimmune problem. And the two answers that it brought up were faulty teeth work, like to look into the root canals and look into these things, and the copper coil. And obviously, it's like when you listen to your body and you trust it, it takes you deeper and deeper into the experience, and it can help you heal. So I took out the copper coil and experienced immediate relief. Like, basically, I'd been having these insane, like, mood problems, energy issues, digestive problems, and not to mention, like, ringing in my ears and this ridiculous mood stuff, like basically suicidal rage or being really down, really tired, tailbone pain. So that was another one. One of the things that over the last journey of 7 years that I've been exploring this stuff, I figured out tailbone pain is related to inflammation and metal and parasite deposits in the area. So here's the thing. Do you know what doctors recommend when you come in with tailbone pain, which is related to like inflammation in the pelvic area? They cut it out. That's their recommendation. Either you'll be on pain medications for the rest of your life, or we'll cut it out and you'll be on pain medications for the rest of your life, but your back will hurt now too, and there'll be like a host of other problems because we've literally cut something out of your body. So that's their recommendation on that. Now, when did that stop for me? Yeah, when I took out the copper coil, when inflammation around this began to reduce. When it comes to this tooth situation, I have been feeling myself like getting more sensitive and more of an immune inflammation over time, over the last 4 years. And I know this stuff has to go out. It's a bed of toxic bacteria, not to mention that it's a foreign object to the body. It's only not a foreign object if the tooth is alive and like exchanging blood with the body. But it's now a dead object capped by another like foreign object, and it's just sitting there. And the last two teeth are actually connected to the large intestine, the small intestine, and the lungs. And I've been experiencing like digestive problems that I couldn't explain, that I couldn't put down to anything. Based on what I'm doing, a lot of fasting, juicing, fruit diets, anti-inflammatory foods, I should be soaring out of health, right? But like basically that path took me to the part where I can understand that there's still things that need to be dealt with. And I'm grateful for this experience. I'm grateful for the fact that I went into that doctor today and I said these things. Even though he's the one that put that in there, even though he told me that it would be a crime to take control of my own body, it's a blessing, because now I know that at the very least I can go on to somebody who does holistic practicing surrounding this topic, and they can help me out with that. I mean, he was literally like poking around in my mouth, like as I'm speaking, trying to explain. He's like, all right, no. He just takes these tools and starts fucking poking my gum and making it bleed and being like, see, you don't know how to brush your teeth. I'm like, excuse me. Let me tell you something right now. As soon as you start taking your power, as soon as you start stepping into yourself and being like, all right, I know myself, and like setting boundaries. As soon as you start setting boundaries and you notice people around you are like crossing them like crazy, you're triggering them. As soon as you step into your power, you see so many institutions and powers and people around you, not able to cope with that any longer. They like decide that it's dangerous for you to take your power, and it is in a way, because as soon as you take your power and begin healing yourself and dealing with these things, where do they go, right? Like, where do they go if everyone has to depend on them to be told a diagnosis or be told how to heal? It's the biggest warning that I can give you right now is if somebody begins to question you or become unreasonable when you start setting boundaries, consider your relationship with them. Consider if they're even healthy in your life. Because really, in order to grow and have healthy relationships, people should respect each other's boundaries, hold space for each other's problems, want to be there for you and support you, like based on what you believe and what's going on with you. I got called crazy. I had invasive procedures I did not ask for being done when like the most basic of things is happening, which is me trusting my own body, stepping into my sovereignty, saying, all right, I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to ask my body. I'm not just going to ask an outside source or a person or an article. I'm going to go in and ask myself. I'm going to meditate and reflect on these things. I'm going to journal. I'm going to ask to dream about them. I'm going to open myself up to science. I'm going to do EFT on myself in order to release trapped up emotions and open myself up to new ways of being. The information comes. Your intuition has probably been on lockdown for a very long time. Most of humanity doesn't even believe that there are sparks of light inside bodies meant to live out their dream in this world. They're trapped in all kinds of attachments and beliefs and programs that do not serve them. Turning to other people to answer questions that, if they asked themselves and were brave enough to follow through with the answer, they'd come out of it free. So, today my message to you is don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Like, if you believe something and you feel it on a deep visceral level, that is between you and yourself. No one can tell you otherwise. And if you give up somewhere along that line, it's just going to be another conceding to somebody trying to take power over you again, or tell you what's right and what's wrong. And I know it's really hard to navigate these things, but know that if you trust yourself, you will come through that, and you can heal. You can heal all kinds of things that we've been told are not healable, and that we have to suffer, and that we have to depend on outside sources for the rest of our lives. You're very brave for having gone through this healing process, and it's my absolute pleasure to support you on this journey. So if you need anything or any questions or concerns about autoimmune stuff, detoxification, nutrition, herbs, I'm your girl. Have a great day.